Hello and welcome to another episode, a live episode of Building Minnesota ROKKR, the podcast up here on the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, hello, we are live. I can see you in the chat. I'm super stoked to be here. I am here as Ashley, aka Midnight, and live episode. Listen, dude. Some production issues, but I got it covered. I'm Ashley, aka Midnight, joined by Brian Saint, head coach of Minnesota ROKKR. We've got Jake, aka Reppin, assistant coach and lead analyst here for the team, and then Brett Diamond, the COO. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Great. Today has been an eventful day. Uh, I think we need to tweet the stream out.
Yep. Well, we're live now, so we can just. I'm sure someone will get on that. I've told them to let's go, so we could just get started right into it. We're good to go. So we've got people in the chat actually already waiting here. So shout out to you guys. You're here early. That's the notification gang, truly. If you're looking for who's here right away. So obviously today's a big day. We've announced our roster formally for the 2021 season. Wow. Guys, obviously I wanted to hop on here with Brett just kind of as we have done the last couple weeks and kind of talk through like what's happening, what's roster mania, what's going on. Now that we've officially announced the team, we can speak much more openly about everything that's been going on. So in case you missed the notification video or anything like that, Brian, why don't you give us a rundown of the roster, and we'll get into some questions from the chat.
Yeah, for sure. Basically, I mean, as everyone is probably already seeing, the roster is going to be Accuracy, Attach, MajorManiak, and Priestahh. This offseason, our goal was to put a championship caliber squad together. And, with the players on the market, I think we got the best possible mix that we could have. If we want to go in the roles a little bit, we have Dylan, who's been a main SMG pretty much his entire career. He's flexed like once or twice in certain teams, kind of to fill that gap. Priest is the same way. You saw him in Black Ops 4 on the 100 Thieves roster. He added a ton of pace to that team, slotting in there as the grapple sog when they picked him up, and it made their team go from a team that was one game away from not qualifying for the Pro League to winning back-to-back events right after. I think him and Attach are two of the most versatile players in, maybe even COD history. Both of them can do it all, but I feel like with this roster, they kind of get to be in their comfort zone running the two SMGs all the time. And then we round out that roster with Accuracy and MajorManiak. Accuracy historically has been a main AR his entire career. I think he brings a lot of leadership to the team. Really clutch player, really disciplined player, which is, someone that we need. And MajorManiak, he was a main AR for FaZe last year, so people do think that can be a bit of a pacing issue. But prior to that, in Black Ops 4 and World War II, he was a flex player the entire time, both those years. In World War II, he was also teaming with Mox, who has been a main AR, and, there wasn't too many pacing issues there. I think he slots really well as a flex, and he's also a player who brings a ton to the team in terms of discipline and mindset.
Yeah, I think if we talk about the pacing of the team too, especially when you look at MajorManiak, I think a lot of fans kind of overlook the fact that halfway through the season, FaZe even had took Maniac off the main AR and tried running different variations of him running a flex roll, running an MP5. So him in particular, like he is super versatile.
Yeah, and people don't really know that.
I mean, yeah, I think one, the fact that role switch was tinkered with, and then two, if you just look back to Black Ops 4, like Brian said, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly. I know one of the first kind of reactions, and frankly, my reaction too, to seeing the squad on paper was, oh wow, like we had a pacing issue last year, and now we have two players who played main AR last year, right? And MajorManiak being the main AR on FaZe. But and we were talking about this a little bit before we started the stream up, but MajorManiak was not a main AR on Black Ops 2 or World War 2. And I think maybe just people have a lot of, maybe, I don't know if it's recency bias. I mean, I can't blame him. He did just play a year as a main AR, but understanding the versatility that each of the players on our squad has is really important. So definitely want to get into some questions from the chat because, you know, as advertisers, that's what we do. So these are some good questions. I think this is a good one for Brett. So hold on, I want to try to remember the names of the people who are asking the questions. Christian Chudzik wants to know, will players be looking to find places in Texas to take advantage of the connection there with the assumption that CDL will be online, or will the players be in the Twin Cities once again? Brett, do you want to kind of head up? Obviously, last year we had our players moving to Minnesota during the regular season of CDL. What are there any developments? Has the pandemic impacted that? Like, what's going on for this next season?
Yeah, so I can tag team this one with the coaches. I'll let them cover the competitive aspects, and there was certainly part of that in the question, which is a great question. Philosophically, as an organization, we talked a lot about this as this past season concluded and at the start of Roster Mania. And really where we landed on it is long term, it's still important to us that the players that are going to rep Minnesota and have Minnesota on their jersey live in Minnesota. But even this past season during the pandemic, it's something that we want to be flexible on for a couple of reasons. One, there's just the human element, right? We want to give players a little more flexibility than we might otherwise while we're still in pandemic world. But then also from a competitive standpoint, there are a lot of players talking about living in certain places, and I'll let the coaches cover that part of it. But the short version, or really the answer to the question is, for this year, we are not requiring the players to live in Minnesota. Long term, looking ahead to the 2022 season, we do want we do look at it as it's still a Minnesota team. We still want to have the guys here, but short term, they're going to live elsewhere.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah. So basically, the plan this year is, I know all the guys on our team are kind of intending on moving to the Dallas area where they're going to be able to get really sufficient practice day in and day out, no matter, who we're scrimming. And on top of that, it's really going to benefit them for the online league matches whenever those come about. But yeah, in the future, we definitely want people out here. And, whenever LAN events do come around, we want to have everyone fly out here and, boot camp together for a few weeks at a time before major events.
Couldn't agree more. I think, like Brett said, one amazing question. It's super important to us that in the short term, the players are comfortable and are put at the best advantage to perform the best they possibly can in an online dominated tournament environment. But once we're able to shift over to LAN play again, we want to be able to take full advantage of our facility. We want to host amazing boot camps. And we really do want the players to be over in Minnesota. So there's some flexibility there in the short term, but in the long term, I think you'll be seeing a lot of the guys in the Twin Cities.
I'm stoked for that, dude. We just from a content POV, I'm stoked to have the guys here as much as humanly possible. Obviously, in the interim, we are planning to shoot stuff with them remotely. I know, obviously, the announcement video that went up today, really quick, scrappy project. I think it came out really nice. Jake, Brian, you guys, your Oscars are in the mail. You guys did great. Or as great as you could, which is amazing. I actually really liked it though. I know it's kind of different. It was more than just kind of like releasing some B-roll or highlights, which we are going to do. Like, those are cool, necessary things for when a new player joins a team, obviously. But we wanted to have fun with it, get kind of scrappy. But we do have some cool, like, we have media days planned with production companies that we'll be kind of seeing the guys where they are right now, and obviously making sure that you guys here on this channel have great content to watch. So I'm very excited about that. Keep in mind, guys, we are doing a Q&A today live on the stream, and just under 20 minutes, we're actually going to have the players join the call. And just kind of ask them some questions, from the chat here. So, but until then, I have questions for the group now. Zumek wants to know, who is going to be main AR, SMGs, and flex? I know, Brian, you kind of gave us like an overview, especially based on like the players' histories, but just in specific with this group of guys, what's the layout for the team?
Yeah, I think the layout is pretty self-explanatory for this team. Accuracy will inevitably be the main AR. It's the role he's ran his entire career. MajorManiak going to be slotted in that flex spot, and Priestahh and Attach will be the two SMGs, assuming that's the meta for this game. But even if it ends up being like a super AR heavy game, then we have two people on our subs that can slot into an AR role as well.
Right on. Another related question, again from Christian Chudzik. Who will be the entry sub? Like, is that this? Can we do we decide that before the game comes out? Do we wait? Do we already know who's like the main entry sub for the team? Do we know
Um,
yet?
in 4v4, I wouldn't say a main entry sub is entirely a role. In 5v5, it was definitely a bit more necessary having one of the subs kind of be that person that slides in a lot. But assuming it's a two sub meta, I think both Dylan and Preston can kind of slot that role. Preston was a really good and incredible entry sub back in Black Ops 4, so you kind of have to lean toward him being the person that's going to slide in first a little bit more. But um, both of them are going to be doing it. Just kind of depends on the situation on the map.
Yeah, I agree. Also, that's another really good question, particularly because I know that's something that the teams actually talked about in the last couple of days. Is sort of like, all right, look, how can we be as effective as possible? And I think Preston and Dylan, Attach and Priestahh, both are actively trying to work around the map together. And like Brian sort of pointed to, in terms of recency bias, a lot of people forget that Priestahh was that really fast, really cracked SOG player in Black Ops 4. Um, I think the notion that we have a sort of slow team is looking at the roles that everyone played in Modern Warfare and sort of generalizing off that. So I really think, or I want to challenge the average viewer to maybe go back and watch some VOD from other games to see really the pace at which these guys prefer to play at when they're not pigeonholed into a smaller or slower role.
Yeah, even earlier in this season, they FaZe kind of had Preston on the do everything for us role. They had him running a full time SMG with a smoke and a trophy system for like the first half of the season this year. This guy was sliding in hills, dropping a trophy, getting all their smokes. Like, he is easily the most versatile player in COD.
Makes sense to me, man. I think I mean, especially like when I look at the layout of the team, a lot of people were extremely excited, right, at this announcement. This is obviously, I mean, like all love to our first season Minnesota ROKKR players. I think it was an incredible year in a lot of ways. But a lot of people, I think this roster really kind of blew their hair back. They were maybe not expecting it. Talk a little bit about this. Is just my genuine curiosity. This isn't even from the chat. This is just Ashley asking or Midnight asking. Why like just like swipe and start over on the roster? Was it did 4v4 factor into that that the switch there? And what did you guys kind of think after the season ending? Obviously started really pretty well, but ended up ultimately finishing ninth, which is pretty disappointing. So what led to just like, hey, like let's start fresh. Let's try going into year 2 with an all new starting lineup.
Yeah, we felt like if we extended any of the player on our team's plus ones, it kind of pigeonholed us in a spot where we would have been building a team that was really similar to what we had this year. I don't think 4v4 or 5v5 really had any impact at all with the four players we currently have now. I think going into a 5v5 game this four with one more SMG added to the roster, someone like Asim, would have been an absolutely incredible team. So 4v4 versus 5v5 wasn't really too much of a factor for us. We just judge players based on their skill throughout the entirety of the careers. If someone's good year in, year out, you kind of expect to get the same out of them, no matter what the game's going to be like.
Yeah, I think to your point, Ashley, as well, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I think we used the first CDL season as almost a test because we were able to look at our shortcomings, figure out what made our team regress. And then we kind of strategized and tried to troubleshoot, particular rosters that would make sure that we weren't facing some of the same issues that we faced in year 1. So for us, there were a lot of key sort of intangibles we were looking for in players, and just we had a lot in mind when building this team, and a lot of the problems that we were trying to fix um, were able to be fixed by acquiring these four.
So, guys, there's a lot of questions in the chat that go around a theme of how did the team come together and what was that sequence. So, if one of you guys wants to take a crack at answering that first, I'll give my perspective. But let's
I
start
can
with
go
you
after
guys.
it. Yeah, so from the start, we were kind of weighing out all the options out there. We had a multitude of players reach out to us, and we went to the players. And we're like, okay, propose a roster to us. Like, what team do you think you would be good? Who do you think you would like to play with? And we'll go and we'll put all these potential rosters on a metaphorical whiteboard, is kind of the phrase Jake would always use. And once we kind of weighed out a lot of options, we felt like going for the package of accuracy and attach. It was a really good baseline for us, and those were two players we could work around with in a multitude of ways. And from there, we were hearing MajorManiak was on the market as well, and we thought this guy's incredible. He'll bring so much to the team in so many different ways, especially in terms of attitude and work ethic. So we were kind of targeting those three initially, and then when we heard there was an option that we could go get Preston as well, we said, "Let's go. Let's throw that out there, and let's just get after it." We really weren't expecting this four to come together from the start of Roster Mania, and once we found out this was something that could actually happen, we pursued it extremely aggressively, and all the cards ended up laying out in our favor.
I think that's a perfect summary. It was look, we can get attach and accuracy. Let's do this. That's sort of the main AR, the sub role. And we saw Mike was free. That was a no brainer. And then once we found out that Preston was a possibility, we just aggressively pursued him. We knew that that's kind of who we needed to round out this roster. That's what made sense to us. And candidly, in the beginning of Roster Mania, Brian and I are putting names on this hypothetical whiteboard. Yeah, we're asking players to come to us, and we're saying if you want to come here, if you're hitting us up, come to us with an idea. But obviously, Brian and I are trying to do some creating ourselves, and that was one of the rosters. We went to Brett and said, Brett, if we can get these guys, we need to get them because they will bring championships home to Minnesota.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting to peel back some of the layers for the fans to hear a little bit more of the process. So shortly after the regular season ended, we had the coaches put together potential options for year two, not knowing exactly which players are going to be available. We reviewed those with ownership. And even in that conversation, and I think the coaches did an awesome job of really laying out, here's what it looks like to go after a top roster. Here's examples of what that might look like. Here's option 2, option 3, etc. It didn't seem likely that there would be a free agent of Priestahh's caliber available, right? And so even once it sort of became clear that that's what Atlanta's move was going to be, all the rumors were right that he was going to go to OGLA, and we were hearing the same things that the coaches probably heard more than I heard, but generally we were hearing the same rumors that the fans were. And then I don't think I'll ever forget. I was out. We were having a call in the evening one night, and I was going to a Target to pick something up, and I was walking outside the Target talking with these guys. And, we're talking about all these different scenarios, and it all sort of involves it's probably a long shot to get Priestahh, and we all just sort of towards the end of the conversation said, well, let's be aggressive here. Let's make a run at this. If there's even a chance that we can pick up, all four of these guys, and have this be our team, let's be aggressive. And we're fortunate to have the awesome support of ownership. Will family's incredibly supportive. Gary was on the phone talking to guys and DMing them. And it took a little while to come together, a lot of conversations. I think the coaches had twice as many conversations as I had, and I had a lot. But ultimately, we pretty pumped about where we're ending up here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
yeah. No, I was gonna say like initially we were kind of under the impression that maybe we get like one or two vets on the team and kind of have like a bit of a rebuild season with some younger talent. We were really digging deep into the challenger talent pool and kind of seeing who was out there because we didn't really expect to uh, get a roster of this caliber this offseason, kind of just with how many players were getting their plus ones extended. But when everything lined up, it just seemed like a no brainer.
I can't believe it still. I'm so excited, dude, from a content POV. Obviously, I've known Attach for a long time. The kid loves content. Love to see that. Priestahh, I've noticed, has just been on his grind with that stuff lately. And, accuracy and MajorManiak, they understand the value there too. So I'm excited about that. I think that's really bodes really well for me and everything that I'm focused on, but also just the caliber of player that these guys are. It's something that's really, I think, maybe not underrated or undervalued. I'm not sure the exact word, but it's hard as hell to build a roster 3 months before the new COD comes out. I think people don't consider that often enough. I do agree that if you're good at COD, you're gonna generally like pick up the new one pretty fast. But there's always those crazy there's blind spots, obviously, going into something like that, especially when you're moving from 5v5 to 4v4 and all that
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff. But here's a question I've seen come up quite a bit, but I've selected it from Crappy One. Shout out to your name. I bet you're not crappy. They're asking, who is the substitute, or are we still deciding? So obviously moving down from 5v5 to 4v4, we only have 4 people officially on the roster now. What are we doing with those sub spots? How many do we have? Do we have a plan? Do we want to share our plan? I honestly don't know, like, if you guys want to share or not, but I'd just give a little, maybe some intel a little here.
You want to take this one, Jake?
Yeah, happy to take it. Look, building out a bench is super important to us at Minnesota this year. It's something that we've talked about being a focal point. Even before roster mania started, we thought we were sort of disadvantaged in the inaugural season, just in terms of lack of bench pulled toward the end of the year when we think we could have benefited from having a deeper roster there. So it's something we're taking seriously and a really good question. I think something we are heavily considering and something that we think is the smart decision is sitting tight on picking up a substitute player immediately. We kind of want to see who proves themselves, who from the challenger scene is outperforming, their peers, and try to pull the trigger on someone who's going to make an impact at RØKKR for the long haul.
So what you
Bri, feel
saying
free.
is, are y'all picking me up for the sub spot or not? Like, what are we doing here? Come on, I've been playing Warzone. The new COD's a Treyarch COD. Like, put me in. Let's go. I'm literally joking. Please do not do that for the love of this team. Brian, did you have anything to kind of add? Like, obviously, looking at the challengers side of things, or maybe even just kind of not rushing to fill those sub
Mm-hmm.
spots, being that our starting four are so strong. What are your thoughts on the philosophy this year of what these sub spots could mean to our team?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a bunch of different ways to go about it. There's players that I'm heavily looking at currently in this moment. However, it's kind of a decision on whether you want to go, take a chance and snag someone right now, or wait and see how the game plays out a little bit and see who's performing really well in challengers.
Makes sense to me. Hey guys, so in 2 minutes, we'll be bringing on the 4 starters. I believe they're streaming right now, which is pretty awesome. By the way, like, not to pat our own selves on the back, but I love the announcement today. Having the guys all live, playing together, instant content. I love that. And obviously the cute little announcement video that we put out. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm just like, yo, we have our four. Like, let's start generating content. Let's get these guys playing together, doing their thing. They're streaming right now, and we'll be calling them back. We'll be calling them into this call actually to kind of answer some questions. So if you guys have questions specific for any of the players, whether it be attach, accuracy, Priestahh, MajorManiak, make sure to put them in the chat, and we'll get those ready for you guys. So, here's a question, actually kind of related to what I just said, that we can answer before the guys get in here. George asks, how long did they all know about the final starting roster, and have they developed any team chemistry before today's Warzone game? So, can you guys speak to, like, what are the histories of these players? It truly is two duos kind of coming together. But talk a little bit about either Brian or Jake, the history of this team, and if there's Team Chem yet or not.
Yeah, I think just right off the bat, there's a good amount of chem with this team. Attach has teamed with both Priestahh and Accuracy before. MajorManiak has teamed with Priestahh. Accuracy has teamed with Attach. So I think there's just some natural chemistry there in the first place. And no, today was not, kind of the first day they knew this was happening. We kind of had this roster pretty much ready to go for maybe like a week or so at this point, like is how long we've had it planned. But obviously things need to get sorted out contract wise and stuff like that, buyouts, et cetera, et cetera.
From a chemistry standpoint, Accuracy and Attach have been best friends since they were amateur players. So those guys were friends with one another since Black Ops 2, believe it or not. They really are super tight knit. Attach and Preston of Priestahh have obviously teamed together and experienced success with one another. And then you tie that in with MajorManiak's, experience with Priestahh over on FaZe. It seems like everyone sort of meshed. In our minds, everyone meshed together really well. And the guys have been talking a lot in the off season. I think they even spoke to one another, before anything was finalized, just explaining how excited they would be if they ended up in Minnesota together. So yes, these guys have known for a little bit, and they've 1000% been talking and been sort of hanging out virtually.
Right on. And speaking of the guys, speaking of them hanging out, I'm going to get them on the line right now. Give me, guys, just 2 seconds to call these folks and get them on the line. Stay tuned. I've got your questions in the chat. If you've got questions for any of the new roster, hit up the YouTube chat. Make sure to subscribe. Hit like on the video. Please, thank you. I will be right back momentarily. Thank you so much for your patience, guys, while we got the players ready and set to go for the Q&A live here on the Minnesota ROKKR YouTube. Guys, this is your first technically your second appearance on the channel, as we obviously uploaded the announcement video, which you all have received, Oscars for at this point. So shout out to you guys for that. So wow, happy to have you guys here. We've gotten so many questions right off the rip from the fans. I think the number one thing that we've all been kind of talking about is, how does this look with the roles? Obviously, people are talking about, how the roles could affect this team. Can you guys hear me? I think I might have iced myself out of the call with all of the Icemen. Give me one moment here. We're back. I'm so sorry for the technical issues there, stream. Thank you for hanging in there. I actually looked, and a lot of the concurrent viewers kind of hung around. So thank you so much for that. Just as I say that, we we got a little bit of a mix up here with who's in Reppin's cam. But hey, let's get into the Q&A. Guys, what have you seen from the chat that needs to be aid? What are some cues that need to be aid from the chat?
Honestly, I wasn't looking at the chat, so I did not.
Oh no, that's
see
it. No,
any
I'm
good-
looking at like
One of them,
Brett
I
or the
got you.
coaches. One of you guys. Somebody
One of
please
the
help me.
comments-
I was waiting until the stream started.
The stream's
yeah,
been
one
on
of
the whole time.
comments was
Yeah. I mean, like
asking,
until we got everyone back in here.
who will our sniper be was one of the questions. I feel like that's a question
I mean,
most fans would have.
Probably Dylan. Dylan's been sniping for
Yeah,
the past couple years now.
yeah, it's gonna
I
be
like-
Dylan.
So too.
I like Dylan, or I mean,
Like
I could
Mike
also
or myself,
snipe-
you know, it depends what we're feeling. Like we might switch it up
Honestly,
sometimes. Like
I just pull out too.
I want to, I want to rush
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah,
No,
from
it's
what
just-
I watched on
they're
Cold War,
just playing-
sniping looked dumb
Yeah.
easy. So
I have seen
Yeah.
a lot of
Nah,
people
yeah.
ask like Preston like why he chose to come here over like some of the other rumored
Ooh.
rosters.
good question. I'm putting you on the spot.
I mean, everything just felt right about it. Like everything that was talked about with the team, like it just felt right compared to the other like rosters that I was looking at, and it was just, I don't know, it was just something I wanted to do. There's nothing much other than that. It just felt better than the other, options I had.
I like that.
Dang right. Yeah, I like
that
that
answer.
too.
it's a good one.
Yeah.
A real good answer.
Yeah.
I have a question. A lot of people are pretty concerned about the roles and how that's kind of going to look with this team. Obviously, MajorManiak and Accuracy obviously both played main AR in the most recent season, but MajorManiak, that's not always been the case for you. You were not the main AR, I believe, in Black Ops 4 or in World War II. How do we, like you guys as players, how do you see the roles coming together for this team? I'll call on Accuracy first, since you're
Alright.
right first on the screen there.
I got you. Basically, like that's just from the fans saying that from their perspective because they're not doing like a deep dive into how the game's actually played and like watching the way people play. And I know the fans love stats and all that. So if they do like a little deep dive in the stats, if you look at Mike's stats, he does not play like a typical main AR in any sense. Like all the main ARs, including myself, like I had the #1 most hill time for a main AR. Mike had like the absolute lowest. So that's not typical of a main AR. So he already plays completely opposite from me. So it works out perfectly because I would gravitate more towards the hill, and he already plays like an island type player that takes routes. So it works. That chemistry is already there just from natural tendencies.
Yeah, it's just a natural mesh. Like if he's playing around the hill and I'm playing on the rotation, like it just lines up perfectly. Like obviously
Yeah.
me, I did it, like I laid out everything myself. I could see the play styles, and when it comes to like discipline and things like that too, like this roster, like I already know Preston's mentality on a lot of things and how he sees the game. And obviously Dylan and Lamar have been playing together like last year, and seeing like their play styles and how I know me and Preston think and play, like I see nothing but like good things.
I agree.
Well, also like you weren't always a main AR either. Like you literally just
yeah.
went into that role.
Yeah,
Like, obviously you wanted to be that main AR, but like
yeah, I went into the year like wanting to be a main AR, but I mean in World War II I was a flex. Black Ops 4 I was a flex. I mean it was the Maddox, but I was still also a flex. So I really think I could just play that flex role.
it's so weird. It's so weird to me that like I feel like people like view you as a main AR all just because of this 1 year. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's just your gameplay is just not
it's the
typical of a
recency
main AR.
bias.
Yeah,
just the
it's all the
recency bias.
recency bias.
Connor is really bad with recency biases.
Yeah. You fry the last map, you're the best in the world. You get shit on, you're the worst in the world. It's just all about
Be as
recency
good as
bias.
your last at bat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last at bat, last event, last match. Like that's just how it is. So it's understandable. People are kind of confused about it, but from all the players' perspectives, like I think our team is perfectly set up for roles as good as it can get.
I ran a sub for an event this year, and I actually felt like I played that really well. Like
Did you actually do it at an event? Because I remember scrimming you guys, and you guys,
he
you guys
did.
were doing really well in those scrims.
I did it for an entire event. It was I can't remember what home series it was. We played Dallas in finals though.
Chicago, right?
I think yeah,
Right in the
Chicago.
middle of the year.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of the year. And like, dude,
Yeah,
I made that
ahead
switch
to
with like
Chicago.
we scrimmed probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks with that switch, and then played the event. Just because we were trying to figure out what was the most comfortable way for me and MC to like, because I like again I was taking those routes, and having a sub, it would be a lot easier to like finesse and play those corners, play those angles.
Yeah.
But also, you know, me doing so, it just left like there wasn't a lot of. I don't know, it was a lot harder for us to like break hills and hold hills. So I mean, we ended up switching back. But like, I feel like I'm very versatile on the aspect of the whole main thing is just that's just an outside perspective.
And people are on Preston's head about like running a sub, but I don't think
This
the
guy is
fans, yeah, I don't think the fans realize how talented Preston is, and the fact that MW had like the least amount of talent was needed to be good with a sub in that game. Everyone was good with a sub
Yep.
in that game because you killed
Bro,
in one bullet. Well,
this
it's
is like
actually
the
hard to
only.
use a sub Preston to be the best.
No, yeah, this is like actually one of the only games that I actually just hated running a sub in, and I think it kind of just like varied on the team I was on. I mean, like I had MC, I had Cell, Abizi, and Simp on my team. Like it was gonna be hard for me to do anything. Like
Yeah.
like you know, I was
you
I
were
was
doing
kind
it
of
the
well
sub
early in the
gameplay
year
in that
with
game
the
was ass.
smoke and the trophy.
Bro,
Like
I was
you,
Smoking
Me-
trophy, bro. He created a strat.
me and Mike were just like role players, to be honest, on the
Yeah.
team. So it's kind of we were kind of letting the other three just run around and fry. I mean, which is what any team should do with those three.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How quickly people forget Sog Priestahh. They just
Yeah,
beat
exactly.
people
Paul
up pretty
Priestahh,
quickly.
not only is he the entry, but he's also setting it up and communicating it, and like being
Mhm.
able to have those two things, like communicating and just
Getting pieces.
flying in and piecing. Yeah, like come on, the whole
mean,
He's
Yeah.
pretty
Preston can't
incredible.
run a sub is this not an argument.
It's
at
not
all.
even a real thing. It just comes from
Nah.
MW, and MW had the lowest skill ceiling for any. Every sub player will say it publicly that that was the worst sub gameplay that any sub player played through a whole season.
yeah, I mean,
Also,
like,
Yeah, MW, it was a game. It wasn't, it was just a video game. That's about it.
no,
But
I
now
mean,
we're
I
back
think
to real
I think
talk.
like the versatility of this team is another thing that makes it so good. Everyone on this team isn't really someone who's too concerned with being in the spotlight and being that player who is just throwing up these crazy stat lines every game. And I think that's a big reason why Dallas was like super good this year. Every player on that team was kind of just focused on playing the game like in the most correct way possible, and that's what made them so successful at the end of the year. And I feel like that's
100%.
kind of the mindset
Yeah.
we have here as well. No one is like too
Yep.
dead set on being in the spotlight, and everyone is going to do exactly what the team needs them to do in order to win.
Efficiency, that's my word. I'm gonna
Efficient.
every day we get on, I'm gonna be like, remember efficiency.
love
That's literally
that.
the key word.
It's not always about that final stat line. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's nice to get ranked up in the top 3, top 2, top 1 players stat-wise in the league, but it's all about those results that you put up, afterwards. And I feel like with this group of
Stats-
guys, you guys are right there.
Yeah.
If you want to win, those stats don't matter.
Stats paint a certain picture. Stats only like it paint a certain picture. Doesn't tell the whole story though. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I look at the mini map and the routes people are taking.
The-
You're spawning up. You're going the right way. Like
Yeah.
That's the important
So-
stuff.
A lot of people don't understand that, but
Duh.
it's definitely very important to be consistent and consistently win.
I
Sorry to
agree
cut you off.
100%. No, you're good. You're good. I'm just trying to get some questions in from the chat because want to make sure we get in some Q&A here from the chat so you
Will
guys
do.
can connect with these guys. So I don't know if it's Attic, Atik asks, Lamar. This is for Lamar and Attach. So why the decision to kind of duo together, stick together, and leave New York, and what like kind of made you guys want to duo together? And this is for Attach. Are you gonna miss Zuma? That's one of the questions.
Dill got this. Dill got the why you wanted
So
to
when
leave.
it came down to the roster changes with New York and just off season in general, there was just some people didn't want to team with some people, didn't see eye to eye, and that's just gonna happen. Like after you team together for a year, some people could kind of just butt heads and not work too well together, and it was kind of like a mutual thing between me and New York, to let me leave. Like I said I wanted to play with Lamar. Of course, Lamar got released, and then New York kind of made it easy for me to transition. Like they didn't try and force me to stay or anything. They kind of just gave me free will to do what they wanted or to do what I wanted. And it was a tough decision because I mean, leaving someone that you've teamed with for so long and that you've grown up with has been one of your best friends of the community for this long. It's definitely a tough decision to leave Tommy. It's always gonna be my brother. I'm gonna miss him, but it's I think the way Lamar and I play Call of Duty, we see very eye to eye and have one goal in mind every day when we get on, and we'll try our best to enforce it every day and improve as a team and get consistent and to know what each other are doing at every single moment with this new squad. So just practicing our efficiency and consistency. And I just really like the way Lamar views COD.
Damn, you're getting me
Smooth
hyped
guy.
up. Let's scrim right now.
Dude, I know, right? Like,
All
what
right,
is-
we're getting back on Warzone.
Yeah, dude, you guys gotta go play more Warzone. Count down the minutes till the Cold War beta hits. Obviously, you guys are gonna be streaming the Cold War beta, right? Just,
Of
course.
It's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. All right, especially with this team, that's a no-brainer. All right,
course.
so I have a question for Priestahh, actually. Ten Herta wants to know, did Priestahh have offers from other orgs? Absolutely. And then what made you choose RØKKR? So Preston, when you're looking at free agency this year, what were you looking for as far as finding a good home for yourself and your teammates and who you wanted to team with? What were you looking for? What made you choose RØKKR?
Yeah, so I mean, I did have offers from other organizations. I kind of just looked around and saw my options. And once I heard me and Mike were kind of dropped, I wanted to stick with him obviously and try to find a spot. And I didn't know if it was gonna happen, so both of us were looking at all of our options, and it all just ended up circling back to me and Mike just being together, and it just felt like it was meant to be kind of thing. And when Attach and Lamar were in the equation, I mean, once this team got brought up, it just it kind of made sense. I feel like we all kind of think alike, and we're all just gonna work super hard. This is probably gonna be one of the most hardworking teams I've been a part of, and we're all gonna be playing tens. We just gotta get Mike in tens, but I know me, Lamar.
I'll be there.
Well, Mike. The thing is, Mike plays CDL. He doesn't play tens.
Yeah.
He still grinds though.
Yeah.
He's playing.
No,
He's playing the
respect.
game. But this team is a team that's just gonna, we're gonna be playing all the time, and we all want to win. So just the mindset we all have, I think it just made sense to me. And I've also played the game, so I know how the pacing is, and I know how the play style is gonna be, and it just kind of makes sense for it to happen.
Right on. We've got another question from the chat. Now, we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the podcast here. Brett, a lot of people are wondering, are these guys moving to Minnesota? What's going on? Do they have to relocate? Brett, do you want to just kind of touch on maybe a shortened version of the explanation from earlier? What's expected of the guys and where they're playing from in this crazy world that we're living in with a pandemic? Oh, you're muted, bud.
Sorry, I got the double mute thing going.
Oh,
on
that's
here.
okay. You're good.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this at the start of the podcast, just for those who've been around, who've been hanging since then. But yeah, our approach for this year is to be flexible, right? And I know the guys are talking about a couple different scenarios, and they can speak to that. Wanting to live in the place that's best from a competitive standpoint, for the foreseeable future. Once we're on the back end of the pandemic, as we look ahead to 2022, I'm looking forward to having everybody in Minnesota. We've got a great facility. I know some of you guys had a chance to see it launch weekend, and Dylan and Lamar, if you guys haven't seen it yet, looking forward to having you out here soon. But long term, excited to bring the guys to Minnesota, but short term, we're going to have some flexibility in where everybody lives to make sure everybody's got the best possible situation competitively and just from a comfort and safety standpoint while we're still in this crazy pandemic world that we live in.
Absolutely. So question for the players. What aspect of Cold War are you guys all most excited for? Attach, why don't you go first? But I kind of want to hear this perspective from everybody. When you think of Call of Duty Cold War, especially thinking of it under the competitive lens, what aspect of the new game are you looking forward to the most?
Okay, so going to Cold War and talking about competitive, actually, it's a very good question. I'm glad squad spawns won't be a thing anymore.
Good one.
Definitely not gonna miss those. So I'm kind of excited to get back on that old COD engine that we all grew up playing and knowing and loving, and where you can kind of do some more critical thinking while you're in the game, and being smarter will pay off more than just trade, whoever wins the gunfights kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to just playing a traditional COD, really. And then, of course, with Treyarch coming in and releasing the game, I don't think Treyarch they really can't do any wrong. They always have a very well-made game, and they always really take care of it and are making changes. So it's awesome to see them are to be so proactive on fixing the game and making the changes even before it's close to being out. So we love Treyarch, and I'm excited for the next game.
Yeah, I'm a big Tony Flame stan.
Yeah, we love Tony Flame and Maddox.
I'm a David Vonderhaar stan. In Vaughn we trust. Obviously
Of course.
super excited to see this next year. MajorManiak, how about you? What are you looking most forward to with a brand new Call of Duty and Cold War in specific?
I mean, going into Cold War, obviously we have Treyarch as our developer. I think the thing I'm excited most for is probably 4v4. I think 5v5, it's good. It was very it was very it was
Said that real
good to agree.
confidently.
It was
It's
good to a
good.
degree. But when it comes to like respawn, especially search and destroy, like strats and things like that are very flood heavy. So search and destroy in 4v4, I feel like for me personally, I can paint a picture a lot easier. And there's not going to be like it's easier to track players and to really like adjust mid game instead of just head bashing a site 3, 4, 5 man hitting a site like a lot of these strats have been the last 2 years. So for S&D, I think that's going to be a lot better, a lot more fundamental. And then again, like no squad spawns, that's also a plus. A big thing for me with Treyarch games is how vibrant the games are. So like having the game that's actually appealing to look at is also important. And then again, like the developer support that Treyarch has already shown. Those are probably the main things I'm most excited for. So.
Yeah, definitely agree. I definitely feel supported every time. And it's not to like slight Infinity Ward, but like Treyarch just goes above and beyond with their support. And well, we played Domination this year. Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels good going into a Treyarch game. No, I can't imagine Dom will be back. So Preston, what are you looking most forward to? Priestahh, what are you looking forward to in Cold War? What's your number one like first thing that you either want to get into or that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, obviously 4v4, but for the actual game itself, I'm just looking forward to like the maps and just the spawns. I think the maps are gonna be laid out a lot better, and there's not gonna be any more doors, hopefully, and that'll be good. I think the maps are just gonna be just way better than this year, and just the vibrant colors. I mean, I got the chance to play the game, and the maps are like just the vibes of the maps were just fun to play and just look at. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Back on the map design topic, I feel like map design is easily the most important part of any competitive FPS. And then, as long as the maps are good, everything else will kind of fall into place.
Yeah.
Agreed. Treyarch
Agreed.
goes with that.
Maps and spawn system are the two. That's that's the baseline right there.
Yes,
Everything
sir.
else, like guns and things like that, can be tweaked. But if you don't have a good maps, then it really just starts there.
And Minnesota
Maps and the
camos.
spawn
Exactly.
Yeah, I think maps are super important too. Good call, Brian. I think even back like before Black Ops 4 came out, maps were noted as like the most important part for competitive. And obviously I think some of us in this call got our hands on Cold War early. If not, we'll obviously be grinding the beta in just under a month. It was a little weird with those like larger maps where they had like 10v10 or whatever, 12v12, whatever it was,
Yeah.
that absurd stuff. But the maps that were smaller, that were clearly designed for 6v6 in mind, and when you're trying to think about playing those on 4v4, the layout is so much more appealing, and the size that they are, and just everything that I saw from like I think it was Miami, whatever map was in Russia with the really long
Moscow.
street. Oh, Moscow. Yeah. Well, there you go. So yeah, those. I have really good vibes going into this year. Accuracy. What's your thought? I think I just want to get your thought going into the new game, and then we'll answer another question from the chat. We got time for one more question after this. So chat.
I think. Go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say, chat. Put more questions in the chat before we go.
I think the number one thing that I'm looking forward to is the gunplay. Like Modern Warfare had like half the time to kill of any COD we've ever played. So everyone just killed in literally one bullet, and it looked like everyone just shot super straight and zapped people across the map and hip fire people across the map. So I'm looking forward to having actual real gunfights and like not having that happen where you just have advantageous position and someone chows you and hits like one headshot or like 2 bullets because they kill in one shot and take you out of that position or whatever it is. So I'm looking forward to having real gunfights again.
I like
Amen to
that.
that.
So
Um,
from let me ask a noob question. So
No, Hetty is safe.
how does that talk a little bit more about how that impacts what you're thinking about as players or as coaches when the time to kill is longer?
When time to kill's longer, like you have to have better positioning because you're not just gonna be able to be caught out in the open and just hit like a good snap and get someone off a heady or whatever it is. When the time to kill's longer, like it doesn't matter how good of a shot you hit most of the time. If he has better positioning, he's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I also think the switch to PC is going to help with that a lot. Just playing at a higher frame rate on servers with a lot more hertz is going to negate cameraing to an extent Call of Duty hasn't really seen before. A big reason cameraing was always so relevant in COD is kind of because of the tick rates of console servers. On top of that, consoles really get capped at a hard 30 or 60 FPS, depending on what the game is. So with the switch to PC, I think you're going to see positioning reign supreme more often than not.
I know a lot of
amen
the
to
chat
that,
was,
bro. Go ahead, Jake. Sorry, I was getting hyped.
I'm super excited for the PC Switch, and it seems like the chat is too. Like a lot of their questions are around, like, what controllers are you guys using? Because I feel like this opens the floodgates. I mean, people might whip out the 360 controllers again, the best controller ever made.
We get scuffed to make some RØKKR 360 controllers. I will die happy, bro. I will die happy.
Yeah.
To do it.
I'm
probably
saying on
keep it in
PS4.
Yeah, I'll probably keep
Yeah.
it in PS4.
Just for
Yeah,
claw,
oh,
like it
yeah.
just feels so much easier.
Yeah,
I
I-
mean, honestly, it's not even the claw aspect. Like, I would love clawing again on 360. It's just smart bumpers and triggers are just way
Yeah.
too good to not
yeah,
use.
yeah.
If they
put us-
if
If
they
Unless-
put that
unless-
on
if
a
they put-
360, I'm
I would,
out. I'm
yeah,
off the
yeah.
360 again.
Well, I shoot with bumpers.
Yeah.
I love shooting with bumpers. Wait, Mike, you use triggers, all right?
Yeah, I use triggers.
Yeah, so for you, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, like for me, like since I play Claude, just like shooting with the bumpers, it just makes it so much easier with PS4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
until someone comes out and starts frying, and you're like, "Yo, what controller do you use, bro?" And they're like, "Yeah, I use
Yo, I got- yeah, I got the GameCube.
Right, guys, like I'm on the
Right.
Xbox One.
I
I mean,
already
maybe.
know Krim
I
is
got
just
the-
gonna have a collection of a multitude of controllers, bro. This guy's gonna be trying out like a Wii controller.
Yeah, I got the Nintendo Switch controller. It's fine.
1000%. I'm really interested to kind of see how the switch to PC with a controller impacts just how they're able to run these tournaments. If it is truly better, like Coach Brian brought up, like not being able to camera or just those low hertz. I mean, you guys are playing on insanely low hertz at one point this year.
Yeah,
The low
12.
Pretty much single
12,
digit.
so
like,
Meanwhile,
bro.
meanwhile, CS is on 128.
Must be nice. Must be nice. Nah, it's pretty crazy just to see it's evolving, and it's always not, hey, day one you're gonna have every single thing you need, but I feel really good going into this year. Controller on a PC, Treyarch's here, brand new lineup. I'm freaking hype. I mean, I'm like you guys. I just wish that the beginning of the season just started tomorrow. Like we still have to wait for the
Same.
new COD's
Yeah.
gotta come out. All right, 2 more questions, then I'm gonna let you guys go.
Yeah, there's one that I want to answer because
Sure.
I kept seeing someone saying in the chat. Max has just kept asking if we have a substitute yet and if it's going to be a returning player. The answer to that is no, we do not have a substitute yet. Right now, we're currently leaning toward waiting to see how the game plays out and then, getting one of the top challenger players earlier in the season once we kind of see who's been performing really well.
Absolutely. Yeah, good to call that out. Definitely people are wondering like, hey, how's the rest of this fill up? I'm excited to see. I mean, obviously we have 4 extremely talented starting players, but having that depth at sub is always good, especially if it's younger talent coming up. I have an interesting question, and I'm actually curious myself. And it's okay if this hasn't been decided, or maybe this is something that gets sussed out, like, when the game comes out and we start practicing officially, but like, who's the IGL on this team? Who's the in-game leader? Who's the person that's calling those shots, whether it's in S&D or in the respawns? Is there any sense of who that person is right now? Coaches, players, any impressions?
I mean, okay, that's I can kind of speak on that because that's one thing I obviously thought of when I was trying to figure out what roster I wanted to be on, things like that. I know me and Preston were probably the most vocal players on our team last year. And I know the kind of vocal player that Lamar is. So I think we're going to have just a very good balance between like that vocal leadership and just kind of adjusting each other mid-game if we have to and things like that. I mean, S&D, I've always like just even playing S&D tournaments in the past, like I've always just kind of like been a shot caller. Like I think of strats myself, things like that. Obviously, if they don't work out or everybody has other ideas, like I mean, we can go to those as well. But I mean, yeah, like I think everybody has their own voice, and I think that's for me, I don't really see the whole there needs to be one vocal leader. I think it just needs to be a group of people that is everybody has their their own voice, and someone will speak up in a position where they think they need to, and yeah, just help the team in that way. I mean, it's just
Yeah, I
different,
agree.
especially in game. Like if you're in a playing at a slower pace than the rest of the team, you're in a position where they're in the mix and you're not, then it's your job to be more vocal because you don't have a lot going on your screen. So it's really just depends on the situation as well. So
Yeah,
The
I think
best
that's a
of
big
the-
issue with a lot of teams. A lot of teams have a ton of players on their roster who are just really quiet and don't really give much input, in game or during scrims or anything like that. And all 4 players on this team are, extremely vocal and, will gladly express their opinion.
I think that's the biggest thing too, and one thing I'm really looking forward to is for the most part I've done like most of that organizing for my teams in the past, and I think that like my weak point on that was in S&D. So to have Mike on the team, who's like been one of the best S&D players the last few years in the CDL, could take a step up in that position and lead us to victory in that game mode, and I can handle the respawns a little more. Like I'm so excited to have that because he's an insane S&D player and knows the game mode perfectly, so he could lead us in that area like amazingly.
Awesome. Yeah, when
Love it.
I view the team, I look at obviously Mike or MajorManiak, who Lamar just referenced as like, yeah, he's I guess quote the chat keeps saying the oldest player in the league. So obviously he's got the
What's
got
funny is that's a running gimmick, and people still are like convinced I'm like Clay's age.
why is that? Is that I don't
For
know the
No,
origin of that. I
it's
was like,
because-
I'm not gonna call out this RØKKR staff person
Yeah.
on the podcast, but we had a RØKKR staff person who like truly believed that meme for
I was
a couple
yeah,
months.
and a lot of people still do, which is funny, and like
yeah,
it's just
I
funny.
saw it. I think I saw it for the
Yeah.
first time this morning. I was like, dude, Clay's definitely the oldest. Like, what are they talking about? I was like, oh, okay, it's me. But I don't know the origin of it. But
He's not even the
Right,
oldest on
the
this
origin-
team.
The
I'm
origin,
oldest.
the origin is it was the Minnesota the league home series,
right.
and they were announcing our team, and Puckett had said like the oldest player in the league or the oldest player on the team when I came out, and so people after that just thought I was the oldest player
Nice. So
in the entire league. But
just for
definitely not. 22 years old.
22, still young. I mean, all of you guys compared, especially to me, y'all are still young. Y'all are still super young. Accuracy, I think, is technically the oldest on the team. But like I
Yeah.
said, you guys are all still pretty young.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool
Lamar,
to
you
kind
20.
of.
Lamar, are you 20?
24.
24?
I just turned 24.
Bro,
Yeah,
the
that's what I
oldest
thought.
player on the team is 24. That's crazy. That's
I
buck
just
wild.
turned 24.
Me and Preston are both 22, so
Right on.
There it
One
is.
one last question. Crap, what was it? Man, I lost it. It got lost in the YouTube chat. It was pretty decent. Obviously, switching to PC, we covered that. Who's the in-game leader? I guess just to kind of put a bow on this. Tell me the one thing you're most excited about joining not only Minnesota ROKKR but just this team kind of uniting. It's basically 2 duos. Obviously, in Attach and Accuracy and MajorManiak and Priestahh melding together. What are each one of you? I'll let you guys go. What's your favorite part about joining ROKKR and this team immediately? I'll start with you, Accuracy, since you're first on my screen.
My favorite part is honestly like knowing the character of everyone on the team. Like I know there's not going to be any personality issues, like no bumping heads in that regard, and I know everyone's work ethic like we mentioned before. So that's one of the main things that I'm super excited about because I never want to go into a match or a tournament or whatever and lose because the other team just outworked us or did any of that. I want to lose because we actually lost at the game. They outplayed us or whatever it is. I never want to lose because I'm underprepared or my teammates are underprepared or any of that. So that's one thing that I'm super, super excited about.
All right, and then Priestahh, you're next on the lineup. What are you thinking in terms of obviously joining this team, and then just with this roster in specific? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to just 4v4 obviously with this team is just gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting to do, and I'm just looking forward to getting a win for RØKKR again, and I'm just excited for it all and to shut all the haters down. I mean, there's a lot of positivity that's been coming out of this, but there are some haters, and I can't wait to prove them wrong. So.
I like
Love
that.
Love
I like that
yeah.
energy.
I
Love it.
love that. That's
Love it.
Minnesota
Dog the
vibes. right there.
demon.
Yeah, feed the don't feed the trolls, let them feed you. That's what they say.
Yeah, I mean, it happened last year too. I mean, with our Atlanta FaZe team, everyone was saying, "Oh, you don't have a main AR, you don't have a leader, all this stuff." And then we ended up winning tournaments, so it's kind of
Now
the same thing over this year.
MajorManiak's too much of a main AR. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
God.
Last year he's not one. This year he is.
Nobody can make up their mind. Attach, what about you? When you think of joining up, obviously, knowing you and Accuracy are a duo, joining up now with MajorManiak and Priestahh on RØKKR, what are you just most excited about with this new lineup?
I mean, just everything about it, from the talent to how they are when they think about in game, how they are as people too. Like they're just all really easy to work with, really good people. Some of my good friends, and they're obviously really good at Call of Duty, so that helps a lot. It makes me super excited to have people that you can just talk with, chill with outside a game, while still building inside a game and becoming the best team you can be. And then whenever we're in a situation where our back's up against the wall, I know we're gonna ice up. Everyone has the gunny, and we're gonna be good. So just all around, everything about the roster is perfect.
And we
You said
reunite.
the trigger word. You said the
Exactly,
trigger word.
and
You
we
said friends,
reunite.
bro. You can't say that.
Oh yeah, I actually hate everyone.
Yeah,
So, like they're
whenever-
nasty at COD.
yeah, whenever you say friends,
Yeah,
the
don't
fans
say
are just like,
Friendship
dude, like,
league.
yeah, no, we're not friends.
No, we're not friends. We're
Business.
strictly teammates, but they're
Business
nasty. Let's go.
associates.
Yeah.
Associates. Very nice. So MajorManiak, save the best for last here. What are you thinking going in this year? New lineup, fresh team. What are you excited for?
Basically, kind of what Lamar's had said earlier too. The personality, all four of us have, and like the mentality. Obviously, I played with Preston last year. I've known Preston before that. So not having like that drama outside a game, which is super important. Just being friends outside of the game is good. But yeah, like also having that talent in the play styles and the versatility that will mesh no matter the meta. And yeah, like just honestly just getting that first scrim and just start working from that first map on, learn the game the way we think it's supposed to be played, and set the meta from there on. So
I love
I
that.
like that.
I love the
That's-
vibes.
I'm excited to be trendsetters.
Heck
Trust
yeah,
me,
dude.
we will be, Jake.
I'll let Jake and Brian answer the same question. Obviously, you guys kind of went in depth on, obviously the roster choices and how we got here. Jake, what are you most looking forward to with this new lineup going into 2021?
Yeah, I think I'm most excited to have 4 players that at any point in time, any one of you could just take a game over and absolutely bail your other 3 teammates out. Like every single person on our team has that it factor from a raw skill, straight up gunny standpoint, where if it comes down to it and your back's against the wall and we need someone to go up big, I'm going to have complete faith that every single person on our team will step up and do that for us. Additionally, this is something almost everyone's touched on at this point. The work ethic in this group is unbelievable. From the second the game drops and the second we spawn in and jump into a scrim, it will be nothing but constructive feedback. Everyone's open and super receptive to taking feedback, but most importantly, everyone will be giving input. So practices will be efficient. Practice will be about getting better every day. And honestly, I'm just looking forward to this game to launch because I haven't been this excited about something in a really, really long time.
Dude, y'all
Yeah,
made me so hyped, bro. I'm so sorry, dude.
I think
I'm all
Jake
over it.
covered.
We load up on Miami.
Yeah.
Jake definitely covered a lot of the points I was going to say, but the other 2 things I want to bring up are kind of 2 things we really struggled at a lot last year. We weren't good at closing out respawn games. I think things got really hectic and frantic in our comms late game, and that's not really something we're going to have to deal with on this team. I think everyone's, super composed and has had a lot of clutch moments and, the highest pressure of situations. And on top of that, our S&D last year was not great by any means. It was quite bad, actually. We had a lot of really good early round strats, but when it came down to the mid round plays and decision making, I feel like that's where we lost a lot of our that's where we lost a lot of our S&D rounds, and that's not really something you can teach too much. It's something that really comes organically to a lot of players, and I think everyone on this team knows how to play mid round S&D exceptionally well.
Nah, you're good. I just want to say that I actually had mentioned that to Lamar on the phone. It's funny you say that, Brian. Like that's the most important aspect of S&D in my opinion. Is the mid-round adjustments, like
without a doubt,
and being able to communicate and be on the same page while doing so.
Like we had a lot of good early round strats last year. Like we were getting blood a lot of time. We were getting, like 2-for-1 trades and putting ourselves in like 4v3s or getting it down to 3v3s, 2v2s and rounds like that. But our win rate, once it got down to like 3v3s and 2v2s, et cetera, was extremely low.
Well, I sub for you, bro. Don't worry.
I'm looking forward to you guys turning that around. Brett, any kind of closing thoughts here? What are you most looking forward to? Is it the fact that Roster Mania is done for our starting lineup and we don't have to worry about it anymore, or are you just like already thinking like, yo, this next season, just excited for everything to start? What are you feeling and thinking, Brett, kind of going into the next season?
Oh man, if I said all the things that I was pumped up about, all our staff that are in the chat would probably drop out and run for the hill. We're gonna have some fun this year. It's crazy because last year, Roster Mania dragged on for a while. So heading into this, I don't think any of us really thought we'd be announcing and have our starting four locked up on the official first day. So nice to have that one checked off the list. But I mean, just super pumped to have these four guys as a part of this organization. And this is something where, we've got a couple months before the new game comes out and then some time before the season starts. But I mean, you can feel the hype in the chat here. You can feel the hype with the guys. I'm curious when that moment came when you guys turned the stream back on. You're wearing the RØKKR gear. Like, what was the vibe like in your chat? Were you feeling the RØKKR fans? Were they giving you the love?
Yeah, definitely got a lot of love.
Definitely love.
Bunch of W's in the chat.
Yeah,
lots of love. Everyone was hyped. I downed a cold brew instantly and just was twisted. Everything was great. So much love, and we're just ready to get to work and make everyone proud.
Love that.
Awesome.
Let's bring home a chip this year. That's our goal. That's all we want here at Minnesota, is just to get not only a chip but just like get that ring at the end of the year, right? That's what it all is. So I know I'm thinking way far ahead in advance at this point. I'll let you guys go. I really appreciate, obviously, the players for stopping by, the coaches. Brett, I'm Ashley, a.k.a. Midnight, and thank you to all the viewers of the stream. If you're live especially, thank you so much. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like it if you're into that. No pressure. It's up to you. And if you're listening to this after the fact on Spotify or iTunes or wherever else you can listen to podcasts, thank you. I appreciate you. Anyways, this is it. Minnesota ROKKR. We're out. We're going to go, I guess, get hype, play Warzone, make content, and then grind the new game when it comes out. That's our immediate plans. So we'll catch you guys next time.